Hey guys, what's up? Pitmarthur here, and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. In the last episode, we had a giant text dump, and we're actually kept in a sort of spirit seal for 7 years, so we're an adult now. We also picked up the hook shot and got some pieces of heart that were in Kakariko, as well as the graveyard. I figured I'd go ahead and show this right now whenever Navi's been screaming at me in the last episode. She says, I wonder what's going on in the forest right now, I'm worried about Saria too. But either way, in this episode, we're going to be heading to the Forest Temple as soon as we go ahead and do this minigame right now. Now, we already did this once, and it was for the hook shot the first time. This time, what we're doing is trying to get a time of under a minute, which, while is very hard to do, right now, at this point, you can actually do it. The key here is to hug the inside of the walls, and to an extent, you kind of have to get lucky with the fireballs. And the reason I say that is because, yeah, I know I'm having like a little bit of a cut speech right here because I'm trying to hear the noise it makes, is because sometimes he'll throw a fireball that you can't see, and you'll just turn a corner and just run straight into it, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like that. Like, there wasn't anything I could do about that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I lost this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump in the pit and let it start over. You are going to lose a heart for doing that, so just fair warning. Like, if you fail the challenge, like one of the doors got you, or you jump into the pit, you are going to lose a heart. So, just fair warning about it. Sometimes I don't know what there's no real pattern for the fireballs. It seems like sometimes he'll throw a lot of them at the beginning and not very much in the second half, or vice versa. And then sometimes he just will hardly throw any at all. So there's no real pattern to it. That spot right there where I just did that kind of U-turn, though, that's the spot where he seems to get most people doing this. But, like, see what I mean? There was a huge gap right there where he wasn't doing anything. I guess to an extent it does help to know what the course looks like, but even then. And I'm pretty sure 1 minute is okay for your timer. I think it has to be a minute or less, not under a minute. We're gonna find out. You're back, young man. Was the present I gave you fun and useful? Well, we'll find out. Yeah, so a minute or less will get you the piece of heart. So it can be done without the upgrade that you get after the third temple. It can be done because you can actually get a lower time than a minute right there. You can get a minute, and you can, if you do it perfectly, you know, obviously as perfectly as a human player probably could do it, you can actually do it in 59 seconds as well. So it is possible to get it done in under the minute as well, but under or at a minute, either one works. So just showing to everyone that it can in fact be done. I didn't get it on my first try because I got unlucky with that fireball, but it happens. You know, it's not anything you can do about it. And to be honest, like, half the reason sometimes you can't get the minute timer either is because you might dodge the fireball, but you might have to take, you can't really go in, like, the end corners of each turn. You might have to go around the fireball, and that eats up enough time to where you lose a second overall if you have to do that 2 or 3 times. But, you know, it is difficult without, you know, getting the upgrades later in-game, but it is possible, yes, to do it right now. Opponents, just a bridge, you can do it. So now we're going to head back to the forest and actually get started on the temple here. I do expect this to take 2 videos, and for no other reason than it's going to be like a good 7 or 8 minutes before we actually get started, but that's okay. I'm pretty sure regardless it would have taken 2 videos, so. But that is everything that I've wanted to get side questing wise right now. Like I said, whenever it comes to the adult side, since I did a lot of the side questing, we've already got 11 hearts. We got 5 more dungeons to go. That'll put us at 16, and a lot of the pieces of heart you can't get until after the 3rd temple. So there's going to be a pretty big gap between side questing stuff, or even if there's not a big gap, there won't be much going on. Now, if you recall in the Temple of Time, there was that little pedestal when we walked in that was like the little gray thing that had the Triforce symbol on it, and we've actually seen that before. Each time you see one of those, it's letting you know that there's a temple nearby. So the area we need to go is actually the Sacred Forest Meadow. As you can see from that giant Deku Baba, though, Kokiri Forest has been overrun with monsters like many other places. And here's Mido. Who are you? Though you wear Kokirish clothing, you can't fool me. I promised Saria I would never let anybody go through here. Well then let's prove we know Saria. That melody? Saria plays that song all the time. Do you know Saria? That song. Saria taught that song only to her friends. Okay, I trust you. When I see you, I don't know why, but I remember him. You probably should remember Link, since it was, since this is him. For me, though, like, that point where he says, okay, I trust you, to me that would be, like, as much as he is very annoying, a lot of people hate him, which I completely agree with why. I feel like that's, like, his point of growth over 7 years. Like, he grows to actually realize that sometimes you just have to have a little bit of hope and a little bit of trust based on the information you have. And right here we have, once again, the use Z targeting to always look in the proper direction. I told you this in Dodongo's cavern, but I must have forgot between then. Of course, unlike this time, the L targeting actually is handy, but you've used it enough by now, to, if nothing else, to readjust the camera. But there are actually some guards here that are patrolling the area, and you don't want to make too much noise whenever you come up to them, or they're going to turn around and go after you. If I can actually... There we go. And you can hit them with the hook shot in order to get rid of them. You can also throw bombs at them as well, but attacking them head-on with your sword is useless, because that will happen. That didn't count. After a while, though, right here, if you wait in the passageways, they'll turn around. And then you can get them. Because you can't hit them dead on, it'll just make that little clang noise that it does, like, with the sword. So you won't be getting anywhere that way. That smarted you, even though I still got hit. I wanted to go that way anyway, dude. Leave me alone. And we'll jump in here. Be careful when you resurface here, because there can't... He actually goes in like a U-turn shaped path right here, so he can actually show up right there as well. I think there might actually be two of them. That one just goes in an L shape. That was stupid. I thought he was going to fire left. This guy... No, don't play your Ocarina. This guy, what he's going to do is just basically try to send you back with the wave that he emits from the club. So just go in a zigzag path a couple times and then get behind him. You can kill him if you want. You don't have to. He won't turn around and get you or anything like that. But if you want to, you can get him here. Woohoo! And he will always drop either a red rupee or 3 blue rupees. So, yay! Yeah, that little thing right there. Every time you see one of those, that means you're near a temple. But it looks like Saria is no longer here. Despite the fact we heard the music playing. Because it's implied that she's the one playing the music, so it's kind of weird that you still hear it. Oh, and here's Sheik again. The flow of time is always cruel. Its speed seems different for each person, but no one can change it. The thing that doesn't change with time is the memory of younger days. In order to come back here again, play the Minuet of Forest. So that's right, not only are these little things let you know a temple is nearby, they're actually warps to get you right next to the temple, so they're actually pretty useful in navigating around the area sometimes. But here's the Minuet of Forest. You have learnt the Minuet of Forest. So there you go. Anytime you play the Minuet of Forest, it's going to warp you onto this little pad thing right here. And as she had mentioned beforehand, we weren't able to access the temple because we didn't have the hook shot. You can use that to hook onto this tree right here. And then we go to the temple, and it stunk so bad we fell through the floor. Apparently the temple smells really bad. So let's go ahead and get started on the Forest Temple here, and yeah, it was actually about 9 minutes before we got in here. Let's go ahead and fight some Wolfos. You don't actually have to fight these, but I would recommend doing so. No, he's too far up. So we're just going to go ahead and use the hook shot to get a little bit higher up on this wall. Because you actually do have to go this way. Because now that we're into temples, we're actually going to have to start getting keys in order to open doors. The first 3 dungeons, that wasn't the case. But you are going to have to start picking up keys as well. There's also a gold skulltula up here, which is what I was looking at. I didn't remember how high up he was. Luckily, the hookshot can also be used to snag the tokens, kind of like the boomerang was whenever you were a kid, so it is useful in that regard. Can I put away the... There we go. This jump right here is always kind of hard to make. Because you don't need to do a full jump right there. I actually let go of the analog stick about 3/4 of the way into the jump. But there's our first small key. This will open a locked door. You can use it only in this dungeon. So just to go ahead and show you what's not available, we can't use the sticks, the slingshot, the boomerang, the magic beans for obvious reason. You can't use the masks. Everything else would be available to you, so whenever you actually started up in the adult line before you had the hook shot, all you'd have would be your Ocarina, Deku Nuts, and bombs. That's essentially all you'd have, as well as the magic spells. Those are still usable. So yeah, you wouldn't have a lot to go on, really. Deku Nuts are pretty much just stun items, so really your only weapon would be the bombs. It would be kind of difficult, but we do have the hook shot. And here is our big gimmick of the temple. It's not all the temple, but it's probably about 90% of it. We have these 4 ghosts, and they hold the light in each of those lanterns, and that area down there that the elevator just disappeared to is where we need to go, because that's where the boss is. So we're going to have to go and get those back from them by defeating each one of the ghosts. So first and foremost, let's go over here because this is a Song of Time block. And even though no scale shows up, you can play the Song of Time and it will get rid of it. Remember, just because there's no scale doesn't mean you can't play the song. So the giant Deku Baba will just drop more Deku Nuts than usual. Nothing terribly important there. But on the side here, we've got this wall of vines. And you're going to have to forgive me, by the way, in advance if I forget where I'm going because I didn't practice any of these temples. But I've played the game enough to where I have a pretty good sense of where I need to go. Like, I've played through the game at least 20 times, so it's just been a little while since I've actually played through it. But that's alright. And yeah, he's totally going to get me. The thing about that one up there, though, is the hook shot's not long enough to reach him. You can get the first 2, but you can't get that 3rd one, so you kind of just have to time it. And I thought I had enough clearance to get there, but I did not. Yeah, now I got enough clearance to get to there. Even if he sees me, it's too late now. I already got up here. Stupid Walltulas. Right here, this is a Deku Bubble. You'll defeat it by just hitting it with your shield, or letting it run into you, and then that flame will disappear. Once the flame disappears, he's all yours. Just hack and slash away till he's dead. Oh. Well, that's kind of weird. Why wasn't it facing me? The front of the chest is just facing into a wall there. Not that this is important, it's just a map, but I figured I'd go ahead and pick it up. Maps and compasses, like they did in the dungeons as a kid, have the exact same use as they do now, so nothing different there. I'm gonna go ahead and destroy you, because I don't like you. Here's a hookshot target, so we can use this. Get over here, and jump onto this red switch. This red switch basically is one that you can activate over and over if you want to. Like when you step off of it, it'll reactivate, I believe. Let's just go and jump into the water so I don't take damage here. And note that the Master Sword is obviously stronger than the Kokiri Sword. It's as strong as the Deku Sticks that we've been using, so that's pretty nice to have. Ah, water's not deep enough down here, but that's alright. There are a couple hearts in here that can restock us. Very nice. And at the end of this, we come to another small chest that has a key in it. Very nice. So let's just climb up here and head back into that main room, because we've got all we need for right now. So I think you can only... I think you need the dungeon item before you can get the 3rd key. The Forest Temple, admittedly to me, the first time I played this, I got lost in the Forest Temple. Like, to me, this was the hardest temple, even more so than the Water Temple, for those of you that played the game. But pretty much the gimmick with the first half of this, besides the ghosts, is every time you need to actually progress in the dungeon and you don't need keys, you want to take the door to the left of the entrance to the temple, because that's where all the locked doors are. The ones that you need keys to get in, those are the ones you need. So you can pick up the first two right off the bat. I think the third one you do need the dungeon item for, and then you go back and get the third key, and then you can progress, because there's only 4 keys in the dungeon. 3 of them are for locked doors. The 4th one is actually the boss key, which is another object you have to pick up that you didn't before. There are arrows painted on the floor. Yeah, that's kind of obvious. It's just a block puzzle, very simple. You'll grab a block and push and pull it until you get it to the exact spot that you need to. But yes, that is one of the things you'll have to start picking up now, because the map and compass, while still not required, the boss key is, or while they are still not required, the boss key is still required. So you'll have to pick up keys as well as the boss key in each dungeon now. In the first 3 dungeons there was no boss key, you just got to go into the door and fight the boss, but that's not the case anymore. This is probably the most time-consuming room of all of them, just because there's 2 block puzzles in it. Because there's another one after you do this that's right above it. Remember, in order to climb on the block, you have to press forward while facing it until you actually, you know, until the little icon, the action icon, goes from grab to climb. And then you can climb on it. Now we can't push that, or we can't pull that block all the way down, because obviously we're between the block and the wall. So what we're going to do now is look for this ladder right here. And this will take you around to this side where you can push it. And just push it until you can't push it anymore, and then once that's the case, you'll know it's up against the wall. I think the fastest way would be just to go back down this way. You see how it goes from grab to climb? That's because I'm holding forward while I'm on the block. Because you haven't had to do that for a while, because there are no blocks like that are in the 3rd dungeon. The last time you had to do it was in the Dodongo's Cavern. So it has been a little while, and that was one of the things I forgot when I was playing the Forest Temple. And there we go. That's taken care of. And the blocks will stay like that. You don't have to redo that puzzle if you leave and come back in this room. Thankfully. That would suck if you did. So let's continue on this way. You can ignore the bubbles here. There's nothing that they're going to give you by beating both of them. So we're just going to continue on through here. This corridor is all twisted. Really? You don't say. I hadn't noticed. Whatever. Anyway, side note, by the time this goes up, man, this is actually important. This is one of the few times you actually want to listen to Navi. Watch for shadows of monsters that hang from the ceiling. This is actually a new enemy type that was not seen in the previous dungeon, as you can see. A circle starts showing up here. I'm gonna wait for it again here. There you are. This is a wall master. Basically, that was his only strategy, was to come down and grab you, because if he does manage to grab you, he actually throws you out to the beginning of the dungeon. He's a very annoying enemy, so make sure he doesn't grab you. Just thought I'd go ahead and show that off. Really, the strategy for him is just kind of to run in circles. Like, as long as you're moving, he can't get you, so that's the trick. And I guess you do need all 3 keys. I thought you could only get the first 2. Luckily, getting back to the main room takes a lot less time. Yeah, I can afford a little bit of fall damage. I got 11 hearts, so it's all good. Those guys are kind of annoying just because they keep respawning, so you might forget about them if you're going through this temple. I could have sworn you had to get that 3rd key. Oh well. Well, no, I guess not, because what you're doing here is this is the entrance that's directly opposite from the entrance. That's the entrance of the temple in that direction, so this is the exact opposite. This is to the north. This is where the map and compass would actually come in handy, so I could show you that, but you can't see it, unfortunately, so you have to take my word for it. But I know for a fact it's north. Oh yeah, I guess you don't need that. So we got some Stalfos here. Got some Stalfos here that you'll have to fight. You also get to watch the frame rate drop like a rock when you beat one of them. Pretty much the strategy for me is just to run forward. Oh, it didn't do it. Wow. Interesting. Usually the frame rate drops whenever you kill one. Okay, that's for the second fight with him. I'm going to take that heart before it disappears. Pretty much the strategy for me is just to run and do a stabbing move, because usually if you run forward, they'll usually try to get you with their sword, but they didn't, so that worked out fine. And completely forgotten about that key. I could have sworn you had to have the dungeon item to get this one, but no, you don't. So you'll pick up the... Once you... See, this is the thing about the forest and the water temple, is the first part of them function the exact same way, because for the water temple, the biggest battle in the dungeon is getting those first 3 keys. Once you get those, you're pretty much golden. You can hear that gold Skulltula. You can hear him. But now I can go back there. That's really bugging. Maybe I'm thinking the Master Quest version. That might be it, but I'm not sure. The Master Quest version of this dungeon's kind of weird. Like, the biggest thing that will make you get stuck in the Master Quest version is the fact you have to play the Song of Time a lot, because a lot of the puzzles involve using Song of Time blocks. So you'll just see Navi, like, go to a random location and turn green. Whenever you see that, you can play the Song of Time, more than likely, and that's what's causing, that's what causes Navi to be like, or what causes the Song of Time blocks to appear. In addition, another thing that can cause Navi to turn green and go there is also the Scarecrow song. So if you played that as a kid, you can activate a Scarecrow sometimes, and then you can use the hookshot to pull yourself towards him and get to a spot you may not be able to before. It's never required for a dungeon, though. It's usually just for Skulltula tokens, so... I think there might be one other time it might be for a rupee reward, but never required for a dungeon, no. It looks like one of those poses right there, but it was in a painting. Not that we can do anything about it just yet. First we gotta go into this middle room here. And fight another Armos. Or Stalfos, not Armos. We already fought the Armos statues. They were in Dodongo's cavern, dude. Armos statues are much easier to kill than these things. Not that these are incredibly difficult, though. Maybe it's... I could have sworn the frame rate drops when you're fighting a set of them. It might be the second set here. Come on, do something besides shield, dude. Yeah, there's that frame rate. I knew it was in there somewhere. There we go. Another frame rate drop right there. I wonder what we got. I'll bet it's a Deku Nut, since it's just floating there in the air. No, it is actually the fairy bow, or just the bow and arrow. I'd never call it the fairy bow, I'm just going to call it the bow. But it is the bow and arrow. So this is kind of your upgraded slingshot, if you will. I think there's some hearts that are fairy in here or something. There we go. So now we can get all of the pose using these. And how, you might ask? Well, you're about to find out very shortly here. So here's the blue one right here. Let's go ahead and get the bow and arrow out. This can hold 30 arrows right now, but like the slingshot, it can upgrade to 50. And shoot whatever painting has the Poe in it. And if you stand right here, you can get all 3 of them. Because if you get too close, then the Poe's going to disappear. That's what you need the bow and arrow for. And no, the hookshot doesn't work, so they did think it through. And once you defeat a Poe, or get rid of all the paintings for a Poe, it's going to show up here. And then you have to fight it. Which fortunately is not very hard. Basically all you're going to have to do here is just wait for it to turn visible and while it's not moving. Like then. And then attack it. The best strategy I've found, in all honesty, is to stay away from it, because if you stay away from it, it usually seems to transform back into the state like that faster, and then just use a jump attack, or shoot it with an arrow. Because it won't start spinning unless it has an actual target, which would of course be Link. So unless it has that target, it doesn't seem to go after people. There we go. So 3 jump attacks will take care of it. I think 4 arrows is what it takes to get them with the arrows. And you can't get them with the arrows while they're spinning. They're invincible while you're doing that. And obviously they're invincible while they cannot be seen as well. They're invincible while they're invisible, you would say. And upon beating that one, I believe this is the compass, because we've got the other stuff. You'll know where the boss key is. The treasure chest is very obvious of where it is.